Welcome back. Joining us to discuss toughening up is psychotherapist Lorraine Collins. Welcome, Lorraine. How are you?
Hi,
Thank you for having me.
So, Lorraine, I'm going to kick off by asking you, how much can you use personal experience to help clients?
For me, it's a case-by-case basis. There are some clients who it benefits really well. You know, I can use my own experience as a kind of marker, a goal, so that they can see, you know, change is possible.
Yeah.
But then there are some clients who are just too fragile, and past experiences have meant that they've been shamed or humiliated for, you know, things that haven't gone too well. And so you need to be sensitive to that. It depends on the personality of the client.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if I think it's going to empower them and give the work more meaning for them, I'll use my own personal experience.
Wow. Why do some people get post-traumatic stress and some experience like post-traumatic growth?
Post-traumatic growth is a relatively...
I'm trying to see the difference even. There is a difference.
Yeah. But post-traumatic growth is a relatively new concept.
Right.
And post-traumatic stress disorders, as we know.
Disorders,
you know,
yes.
I mean, it's about emotional conditions that are chronic, that keep coming back, re-experience and triggers that kind of set that off. And I think it's around how a child or a person has internalised their surroundings, how they make sense of a situation and how they evaluate it. So, for example, you know, we've all heard, you know, get back on the horse once you've fallen off.
Yeah.
And some people can do that. But then some people have been told, you know, that's a bad thing for failing. And so that sets up a mindset of, you know, being stuck in a place where the trauma's just stuck and gets lodged in the body, or...
Right. But
you know,
just for our viewers, just to give them that full understanding. So post-traumatic stress
disorder.
Is that in terms of people's experiences, that in terms of, could it be death, could it be abuse that they've faced?
It could be a variety
Anything.
of things.
Right.
When we think of post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of people think about war and veterans.
Right.
But it could be a significant stressful event like an injury or, you know, or bereavement. It could be that someone's fallen off a horse, you know, that triggers something, a shock that gets lodged in the mind psychologically and is hard to shift. So
And does it mean that they've stayed within that trauma and they've not moved from it? I'm trying to see the difference between the growth. I'm looking at the growth. Does the growth means that they've kind of come out of that trauma?
But it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Because if you're able to survive that, I mean, that's kind of growth in itself,
Exactly
isn't it?
what I'm thinking.
And I mean, I think we can all say that we've experienced some kind of trauma.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
It's all relative to the person. And we're sitting here, you know, so that is some kind of growth. However, there are some people who, you know, they will stay stuck in a place. They will, you know, repeat dysfunctional patterns as a way of resolving that trauma.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So thinking about someone who's gone through something difficult and they've managed to move forward, let's say. So what is the difference between becoming stronger and becoming insensitive? Because we spoke a lot about this before you came on. So what are your...
That's a really good question, becoming stronger. I think it's great. You know, we all want to become stronger. However, we don't want to split off that part of ourselves that allows us to become and be sensitive. Because I think one of the things is being really aware of what makes us tick, you know, and being aware of our bodily sensations, being aware of things that could trip us up. And I think if we grow and cultivate that awareness in ourselves, then we're more able to relate to others, and you get you know, more
totally
meaningful
agree.
relationships.
Exactly.
You understand the self, and then you understand the other.
That's right.
You know, and then
I
you
was
grow.
just saying that just before you came on the show, that I've been through a lot of traumas in my own life, but those traumas have made me to be where I wasn't so sensitive in my younger part of my life. As an adult now, I find that I'm much more a sensitive soul. So it helps me with my decision making.
It sounds as though you've developed also more compassion for yourself.
And for others.
Yeah, so you haven't given yourself a hard time.
That's right.
For having setbacks. You've actually said, you know what, we can do this. Let's get up and try again. That way didn't work. Let's try this way. It's more loving. And then we can, you know, put that out there.
Forward. And put that and help others
Yeah,
outside.
absolutely.
Surely, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Sorry, I've got questions popping in my mind.
Yeah.
So surely you must also see the opposite. You must see people who, in their quest to become stronger from the situation, have become insensitive. Perhaps, I don't know, blocking out the feelings, the emotions, or whatever, but see that as their strength, perhaps as a strategy to protect themselves, and maybe mixing it up with what is being tough. Or do you ever see that?
Well, I do a lot, and you know, I understand that, as we all can understand it, as a survival mechanism. I mean, it's fight-flight response. You know, we're under some kind of threat. We have to protect ourselves. So it's when it gets outdated, you know, and when we become isolated, we become prisoners of our own making, and we split ourselves off from other people because we think that we're under threat all the time.
Yeah.
So I do see it, and it's not healthy. I try and get my clients to see that, you know, in actual fact, what you're doing is splitting yourself off from others and the world and creating your own prison. You know, there's not a threat anymore. If we think about, it's actually the amygdala gland. If you think about it like a fire alarm, you don't want to take that battery out.
No.
Because if there's a fire, you know,
That is
You
very
want it
true.
to want the alarm
when
to
it
go off.
becomes overstimulated and it's on the go all the time, you know, it can be very stressful.
So then how can we turn, you know, the negative experiences in our life into wisdom, you know, to be more wise?
Well, one of the things that I like to encourage my clients to do is quiet time before they go to bed, or quiet time in the morning. And that's self-reflection. It's just thinking about how my day went. Do I owe anyone an apology?
I love that.
You know, and what could I have done differently? And that time, just cultivate a space where I can think and plan, you know, the steps ahead, you know, and it just means that I can think about the direction that I want my life to go in. You know, I think Einstein said the definition of insanity is repeating the same
That's
mistakes.
right.
You know, repeat,
Exactly.
repeat. So it's important to
Which we
think
don't
about
want.
That is very
our
true.
actions.
Yeah. And how can we make sensitivity to be, you know, positive for us? A strength.
We had a bit of a debate behind the cameras about whether it was
Because
sort of
I believe it
positive
can
or-
be a strength.
Yeah,
And
it
I-
can,
and
but
I
it
would,
just
and I would
depends.
love people to know how.
Yeah.
And this is where we're all turning to you for that answer.
Okay, well, I think we need to start thinking about how we, you know, think about weakness. For so long, weakness and sensitivity have been synonymous.
Yes.
You know, and
Indeed.
I think if we think about our strengths and our weaknesses as a way, a portal of investigation, you know, there are some things that I know I need to work on. You know, I can still be quite snappy with my husband sometimes, and you know, there are areas of my life that I know, and it's okay. You know, it just means, you know what, I need to just work on that area. And so sensitivity, I think, is something that allows something to come in and open us up to learning, more self-awareness, you know, and that in itself is a real strength. If we're able to look at ourselves and not kind of say, you know what, I don't need to change, I'm okay, I think there's something that's quite dysfunctional in that, closed off.
Because it's a continuous growth, isn't it? We never stop learning, we never stop growing.
And thank heavens we don't.
And thank heavens for that.
That there isn't a kind of graduation, you know, a ceremony, that it's constant. And I've seen patients and clients of mine who are well into their 70s, who are still wanting to investigate and, you know, develop a sense of, you know, more learning about themselves. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Excellent, Lorraine. Thank you so
I
much
love
for
that.
coming on and you know, helping us understand more on sensitivity and how we can help it, you know,
Thank you for
become
having me.
better.
It's
Thank you
really
so much for
great.
coming on.
Thank you so much.
great.
So we're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back with more exciting topics. See you soon.